Hello and welcome to this interactive Sage X3 demonstration. I am Hitesh Tani, Senior Field Sales Engineer at Sage for Sage X3. Today, I will demonstrate how Sage X3 is enabling advanced, discrete, and process manufacturing organizations for the future. Sage X3 is designed for customers working in a product-centric environment. Our core design theme focuses on three pillars: an intuitive product with an intuitive user interface so that you can have faster user adoption, faster in terms of enabling your business processes, and also providing timely, real-time insights and actionable information to your users to facilitate collaboration and faster decision making. Flexible so that the product meets with your unique way of doing businesses and adapts to the way your business processes work and your users work instead of the other way around. Sage X3 is a robust cloud-enabled business application solution that supports your needs across all functions of your organization, from financial management through to supply chain management, production management, and project management. Sage X3 is architected in such a way that from a single database, it can support multiple legislations, multiple companies, multiple sites, multiple warehouses, multiple languages, and of course, multiple currencies. Therefore, Sage X3 is used by over 6,500 medium-sized customers in over 80 countries. Sage X3 user interface is designed with HTML to be a responsive web application. That means you can access Sage X3 from any device using any major browser, such as Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, or from Mozilla Firefox. From a deployment perspective, Sage X3 is very flexible. You can deploy Sage X3 in public cloud, private cloud, or have an on-premise deployment. Some of the key features that Sage X3 supports for both discrete and process manufacturing organizations include forward and backward traceability, ability to support different production strategies such as make to stock, make to order, all the way through to project-based manufacturing, multiple bill of materials with formulas and recipes, allergen tracking, shelf life and potency management, mixed mode and batch production processes, quality management, extensive product cost accounting, and throughout your processes, Sage X3 makes sure that the security and compliance piece is taken care of with full audit trail of transactions that are being performed. In a study commissioned by Sage, Forrester Consulting interviewed some of the existing Sage X3 customers that have been using Sage X3 for many years to create a composite organization so that they could quantify the benefits of deploying Sage X3. The composite organization is a global multi-company organization that has been using for Sage X3 for 3 years. Some of the key benefits include an annual reduction of 5.5 FTEs or full-time employees, $250,000 in sales discount savings, and a 15% reduction in inventory, which amounted to $532,000 annually. Let's see how Sage X3 delivers a faster, more intuitive, and tailored business process management solution for advanced product-centric organizations, which includes both discrete and process manufacturing organizations, including wholesale distribution and service organizations as well. Now, we are moving into the Sage X3 interactive demonstration environment. As you can see, I've logged in as myself, Hitesh Tani. Each user in Sage X3 can be put into a different role. And each role governs what a user can or cannot do within the system in terms of being able to see or change information right at the field level. Each role is given a specific one or more landing page. In this case, I have created specific landing pages as an example so that I can work either as a stock manager, a sales executive, a buyer, and so on. Every single landing page consists of gadgets that the user interfaces with, and the gadgets also provide proactive real-time insights and information back to the user. This is how the interaction between a user and the application takes place. I have created a specific homepage that is tailored for this particular demonstration, which highlights the fact that Sage X3 is very flexible in meeting how you work, how your users work, and how your business processes are implemented. Here, I have a visual process map that will guide me through the demonstration. This can be something that you create for different roles in your environment for your users. I have an interactive web page that is being hosted within my Sage X3 browser, which allows me to go straight to Sage X3 Online Help Center from within my browser. I have calendars. One calendar is dedicated for unscheduled deliveries, whereas the other calendar focuses on scheduled deliveries. If I change my view to a weekly view, you will see that we have some deliveries that are scheduled today. If I click on a given delivery, I have the ability to view some more information, and I can also launch my delivery screen from here as well. In addition to providing calendars, Sage X3 can provide insights both from analytics as well as transactional perspective. Here, I have a graph that gives me my total sales for region US. I have only focused on regional sales for US, but you can have this information coming for any region or all regions that you have within your system. I can drill down from US sales to a specific item. In this case, jalapeno bin dip, which is the item we will be using today for the demonstration. I click again, and I can see all the sales orders that I have for this particular item. I can click and launch my sales order from here, or I can go to my reporting that is being given to me in a text format, and I can launch a specific sales order from here as well. Information at a user's fingertip is what you will see throughout this demonstration. I have the ability to export information so that my chart can be exported to a PowerPoint slide, or I can export my data to Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Office is a first-class client within Sage X3, and you will have every single screen interact with Microsoft Office in one way, shape, or form. As we continue and move away from my chart, I have gadgets bringing me proactive information. Here are quotes that are waiting to be signed because we have a workflow that will allow a quote approval process beyond a certain amount for a quote. We also can see our open work orders that are waiting to be produced and any open pick tickets that I need to take care of today. I'm going to move back to our business process. For today's demonstration, we are going to use an item, jalapeno bin dip. This particular item is a complex item that is being manufactured by lots. In a given lot, we are producing 66 cases of this particular item. And as you can look at this multi-level bill of material, my finished goods item is made up of an intermediary item which is made up of another intermediary item. And here are all the raw material items that come in. You can also see that we are using different stocking units, and we can also use different selling units. You can see the link quantity that is being tied to my multi-level bill of material for this particular item. We are going to focus on this item as we go forward through this demonstration. Sage X3 also provides built-in CRM capabilities, and using that capability, I've created an opportunity for this particular demo. That opportunity is used to create a whole bunch of quotes for my customers. You don't have to create a quote. You can create a quote and then convert it to an order, or you can simply go straight to an order. I'm going to go to my quotes to demonstrate a signature approval workflow that takes place within Sage X3. Here I have a quote 15. And as I look at my signature circuit, you notice that this particular workflow requires that another user approves this particular quote before I can convert it to an order. There are multiple ways I can approve my quotes in Sage X3. One way I can approve my quotes is by going to Outlook. As I go to Outlook, I get to see the quote, the requester, and the amount that the quote is created for. I have the ability to simply click a link and approve the quote, click another link to reject the quote, click a link to see the quote on my desktop, or click a link to see the quote on a mobile device. Another way to approach this particular signature approval is by signing in as the user ERP-US. In this particular case, because Sage X3 is a responsive web application, I simply changed my format to appear like a tablet. If I were using a tablet, this is how the application would look. I come here and I simply click signature to get the quote approved or rejected. Another way for me to approve the quote is to use a mobile device. Here, I've changed my screen to look like a mobile device. I have my quote. I can click on the quote, and right from my mobile device, I can approve or reject. However you approve your quotes, Sage X3 gives you complete flexibility in using the system. For this demonstration, I've already created a sales order from a quote, so we are going to start with a sales order. Here is my sales order, and as I look at my line item, this is my item that I'm selling, jalapeno bean dip, 10 cases. If I change my quantity from 10 to 101, you will notice that my price has changed. Now I have a discount of 5%. If I change the item from 101 to 202 cases and recalculate my pricing, you will see the discount being 10%. I'm going to stop my change, cancel out, go back to my 10 cases. And if the user wanted to see details of the pricing, they simply need to come to the pricing field and look at sales price inquiry. The information again is at user's fingertip. They do not have to keep jumping from one menu to another. In a similar fashion, if I'm ordering 10 cases, the system tells me without having to worry or look anywhere else that we have a shortage of 10 cases because we do not have this item in stock. We have a sales order. We do not have item in stock. The demand generation in any organization can happen either when you have a customer order and or when you have a demand forecast. In both cases, you need to generate your requirements to determine what you need to buy or what you need to manufacture to fulfill that demand. Sage X3 supports MPS, MRP, and statistical reordering, which can be automated. I have already run my MRP process. So now I'm going to change my role from a customer service person to a buyer, and I'm going to go to my buyer's workbench. I can go looking for my requirements in many different ways, but I'm now going to stay focused for one of the raw material items which I know we need to look at. As I click search, system tells me that I need to have 10 cases of this particular item, which is a carton. This is a carton where I pack each of my cases. I have 10 cases on sale. I need to have at least 10 cartons to make that particular order happen. Here I have the ability to create my purchase request or my purchase order straight from this particular screen. I'm going to take that option. Instead of a purchase request, I'm going to create a purchase order. System is going to take the information, create the PO, and let me know that the PO has been created. Having created the PO, before I can manufacture my finished goods item, I do need to receive this particular item. I have a choice. I can either use the barcoding screen or a scanner and an appropriate screen matching that scanner within Sage X3, or I can use a standard screen to continue. For this demonstration, we are going to use a standard screen. I'm now ready to receive the item. And to receive this item, I'm going to go putting in my supplier information and look for the order selection. By putting the supplier information, I have filtered my order selection specifically for this supplier. Here is the item that I need to pick. If I had multiple purchase orders, I could have selected all of them. If I had a purchase order with multiple line items, I could have selected one or more of these line items. Here, I am receiving my raw material item for 10 cases. I accept. System goes through, receives the line item, updates my stock, and I will be ready to continue my process. Now that we have received our item, I'm going to change my role, and instead of being a buyer, I'm going to be a production planner. I'm going to log in as a planner, look at my requirements to see what is it that I need to produce. And sure enough, for this particular item, jalapeno bean dip, I have a firm customer order for 10 cases. You know that we created this order just now. And because of that, I need to create a work order. I need to produce this item, and that's what the system's suggesting. I'm going to take the option to create my work order, and instead of planning and then going through the release process, I'm simply going to release the work order. System is now going to take that information. Let me know visually by changing the color of my customer order line item that we actually have a matching work order 11, for this sales order that created the demand. So at this point, having received our item and having created the work order, not going to go into work order at this moment. Instead, I'm going to go into my production tracking or production receipt process. In Sage X3, you have multiple ways of getting your production tracking information into the system. Instead of doing my material tracking, I can actually backflush as my production is reported my materials to track my time, my material, and my production or finished goods. I have the ability of tracking them separately using different screens, or I have the ability of tracking my time, my material, and my production in a single screen. I have the ability of tracking my time, my material, and my production using a barcode scanner or through shop floor controls. For this demonstration, I'm simply going to use a screen that is going to allow me to track all three components, my time, my material, and my finished goods item in a single screen. I need to create a new tracking. And as I create my new tracking and look for my work orders, here is the work order that we just created. I'm going to select that work order and I'm going to start tracking my quantity. Quantity of 10 cases. Here is the operation that is going to be performed and that will track my time. Here is the finished goods item that is going to be produced, total of 10 cases. It's going to be produced with a status of Q because we need to pass it through quality control. And it's going to be put into this particular location, which defaults based on the settings that you have in your product site record. Here are my raw material items, and they're all going to be tracked as I create my finished goods receipt. I'm going to create my tracking. It says error on line 1. I have not really gone through and looked at my lot complement. So let me cancel out. Let me go to my finished goods item and look at lot complement. Because this is a lot tracked item, system is going to assign a system generated lot number to it. But here I have the ability of changing my potency and my expiration date. If I so wish, I can actually put some user defined information here as well. Not going to do that. Click OK and accept my item. Because the item is now coming in with a status Q, I need to go through a quality control step. So now I change my role again. I become part of the quality control team. Here is the item. So I'm going to go through quality inspection. These are the questions that you decide, and you have complete control over your questions and answers. I'm going to now go and put quality control details and accept the entire lot. I'm going to take 10 cases, status changes from Q to A for accepted, and I can change or I accept the default location where the item is going to be placed after my quality control step. I save again, and you will notice that the item has now gone from this list. It has been accepted. At this point, if I go to my work order, I have the ability of going to work order 11 that we just completed and look at its status. System will tell me what was my planned quantity versus what was the actual completed quantity. Same thing for my raw material items and same thing for my operations. If I so wish, I can go to WIP cost inquiry, and system is now going to tell me my actual versus expected for my materials, labors, machines, and overhead costs, telling me full variance. The production cost accounting is fully baked into Sage X3 at every step of the way. Having completed my production tracking, having completed my quality control step, I'm now ready to look at this particular order that we just entered that needs to be shipped. As I go to the order and I click allocation, you will notice that the item has already been allocated. There is no shortage. We received the item. At this point, I'm going to create a pick ticket. A lot of the things that I'm showing here in this demonstration can be automated, including the ability to create your pick tickets. So we have ability to automate your preparation lists and your preparation plans for the system. But for the sake of our demonstration, I'm simply going to create a pick ticket manually. Information from my sales order gets copied over. Here is my pick ticket, and it's assigned to the picker, myself. I go out of my order. I go to my insights, and the pick ticket that we just created shows up proactively on my open pick ticket gadget. We just created this pick ticket. I'm now taking the role of a picker who needs to pick this item. I can do this using a barcode, or I can do the picking using Sage X3 standard screen, which is what I'm going to do here. As I pick this particular pick ticket, the source location is this, STO02. I now need to take it to a staging environment. So I'm going to say it should be taken to STO10. I'm going to feed the picking line, pick the item, take it to the staging location, and at this point I'm marking this particular item as deliverable. I could go to another visual process map as a shipper and start shipping the information. Instead, I'm going to simply click here, and from the pick ticket screen, I'm going to start my delivery. Information from my pick ticket is automatically copied over. Now I am in my delivery screen. Here I have the ability to print my bill of lading. Here I have the ability to print my certificate of assessment if I so choose. And I also have the ability to put information so that I can have scheduled deliveries. But instead of waiting, I'm simply going to mark this particular item as being delivered. The minute I click validation, I'm going to take this particular item, put it on the truck, and let it go. I can capture the truck's registration and trailer license information. I can capture the departure date, which is today, departure time, which is 2 o'clock, and let the customer know that they can expect it at Pacific time this evening, and here is the tracking number. Sage X3 can take this information and proactively send a notification to your customer telling them that the item has been shipped. It's shipped on this particular license plate. It's expected to be arrived at this time, and here is the tracking number. It will also provide the number of the courier the information of the courier that you are using to ship this particular item. Save the information, click validation. The item is actually now on truck. At this point, I can invoice the customer and go through my accounts receivable process. So far, we have gone through the process of defining an item, creating its bill of material, generating an order, defining my requirements, manufacturing the item, and then shipping it. Sage X3 provides complete forward and backward traceability to you in a variety of ways. One way you have your traceability is to simply look at the traceability. So if I go looking for FIN 301, my item, or I can search for it and type in jalapeno, end up with the same response. Look for my lots. This is the lot that we just created. Here is the customer we shipped to. Here is my shipping note number. This item was delivered to the customer. I have the ability of going into my delivery note from here. But notice there is a location change here, and that location change is because the picker picked the information, the picker picked the item from a source location and took it to staging location. That information is captured as well. If I so wish, I can go and I can launch my picking screen. You will also notice that we have gone through a quality control step where the item has gone from a status Q to status A. We have the work order receipt, and then you see information of all the intermediate items all the way through to raw material item and your supplier receipt. You have complete forward and backward traceability in Sage X3 for you to know exactly where the raw material came from, when it came, which receipt it came on, and what have you shipped to a given customer. Another way for you to look at traceability within the system is what we call journal traceability. So if I go to a quote, I know from here that some of my quotes have been completely ordered and some have not been ordered yet. If I go to a specific quote, and click on journal traceability, you have a different type of tracing within the system. You see the progression of your documents within the system. I have a quote, the quote has been converted to an order, order has been picked, it has been delivered, and if I have gone through the steps in terms of invoicing and getting paid, you will see all that information coming right here. Again, to emphasize information at your fingertip. Throughout this demonstration, you have not seen me go through and change my menus. Anything that the user wishes to do, the user has the information at their fingertip. Hence, our focus on an intuitive application, an intuitive user interface, faster enablement of your business processes, faster decision making, and a flexible system. Another way to look at traceability within the system in Sage X3 is if you go to a field and if you look at the three dots or the ellipses, you have the ability to click properties. When you click property, you know when was this record created, who created this record, when was this record modified, and who modified this record. Not only do we have traceability from a forward and backward lot and serialization traceability or journal traceability, we also timestamp every single transaction. So you know when was this transaction created, when was it changed, who created it, and who changed it. In addition, we have the ability to create audit trails optionally if you so wish for specific fields or specific tables. All this is great. But how do you take this information and you make it meaningful for your user, both from a transactional perspective and from an analytics perspective? So transactionally, let's take a look at an example. I'm going to take a look at Customer 360. Your customer service department, your sales department, or your finance department can take this screen. They can do a search for any of the fields that you see here. But because I know the customer, I'm simply going to type in the customer number. The minute you select the customer record, a lot of things happen. You can now place an order or a quote for this customer. You can do an inquiry so that you know exactly how many quotes this customer has for you. So if I simply click on header, Here are all the quotes that I have for this customer. If I go back, I can do the same inquiry for orders, deliveries, invoices, and returns. I also have the ability of looking at my customer's history. When I look at my customer's history, I am able to see everything that I need to do with this customer. This includes all the CRM activities that you have. Things like actions that you need to perform by means of, I need to make a call. I had an incoming call. I have a task that I need to perform for this customer. I have an outgoing call. And here are all the orders and quotes that we need to fulfill for this particular customer. You also have the ability to look at the actions that's still waiting to be performed, including your CRM activities. Another way to look at this particular customer situation is what we call BP situation. This particular screen provides you a bird's eye view for a given customer. You don't have to worry about looking your age trial balance. You simply know how much the customer owes you in terms of 30, 60, 90, 120 days. You also get to see what was the last quote from this customer? When did it come in? Last order, last shipment, last invoice, and last payment. If you are using a customer and a supplier both to do business with an entity, you can actually do netting because you may be owing something to your supplier, customer may be owing something to you, and you can go through the netting process as well. Again, however you look at it, information at your fingertips. But this information is coming from transactional database. As we process information through the system, we create large amount of data. And what Sage X3 then does is it gives you analytical tool sets that give you dashboards for a specific role. So here I have a dashboard for a sales manager. And the sales manager dashboard gives me the ability to look at what may be important to a sales manager. Of course, you can tailor this information to how you do business. So we are looking at top 5 regions, top 5 customers, top 5 distributors. And for a given dashboard, you have the ability to drill down and drill back into the system. Similarly, you have a dashboard for inventory. You have a dashboard for manufacturing. And if I'm a manufacturing manager, and if I look at my manufacturing dashboard, I know I have 613 orders that are waiting to be fulfilled. I can now drill down and you can see the information change. I can keep drilling down and then drill back into the transaction. You also have a CRM dashboard if you choose to use CRM, so you can track your opportunities and your win-loss ratio. And finally, everything comes together in an income statement. Here is an example of a consolidated income statement. Here I have an organization that is international. I have entities in different parts of the world. If I go to North America, I have certain entities in the US. I have 2 different companies. I have multiple sites. I have the ability to filter my data on any of this particular record or field that I wish. Similarly, I can go looking for a specific company and filter based on that, or a location or a calendar where I can go straight into filtering by a day. Another thing I can do is right on my financial statement, my income statement, I can simply expand and collapse my region, my companies, my sites. So here I will expand US. I can expand my company and you will see it expand into the sites. Regardless, I have my consolidated financial information coming right here. I can also expand my pyramid. So my cells now gets broken out into two different cells buckets. I can double click. I'm now drilling into my transaction. These are direct transactions where customers have come and picked up goods from me. Here are goods that I have shipped, and then I have billed my customer. Here is a specific invoice. I can look at the invoice detail simply by hovering over the field, or I can double click, and from my analytics dashboard, I have the ability to go straight into the journal entry that was used to create this invoice. As I go looking at my amount, notice the amount is in USD, which is the currency for this particular company. If I click the currency button, you see the amount change in Canadian because we are tracking this particular information in Canadian for my consolidated organization. The multi-currency capability is baked into Sage X3 in such a way that you are actually taking multi-currency throughout a single transaction. Here, I have the ability to go straight into the invoice, and then once I'm in the invoice, I can go right into the quote or the order that was used to generate that invoice. You have full 360-degree view in Sage X3 from your income statement right down to the journal entry that was used to track that transaction and right down to the invoice. This ability to create information and provide that information in a real-time fashion, both from a transactional and analytical perspective, provides the faster decision-making capabilities to your teams so that they can make decisions faster, collaborate more productively, and remain competitive in this global competitive era. At this point, we have completed our interactive demonstration, and we do trust that you are confident that Sage X3 is designed with a focus to provide a faster, a more intuitive, and a more flexible business application so that your teams can make faster decisions, collaborate more effectively, become more productive, become more profitable, and thrive in this globally competitive environment. This concludes our session. Thank you so much for being with us, and please do reach out to us if you'd like to know more about Sage X3. Thank you.